Hey everybody, Deplorable Bobby here. Today I've got some news out of Columbia, South Carolina. According to the police chief by the name of William Holbrook, they arrested a 24-year-old Nathaniel Rowland, and he was charged with the kidnapping and the death of a young 21-year-old college student from the University of South Carolina. Her name was Samantha Jovison. Samantha was out with friends on a Friday night, but got separated somehow from her friends and found herself alone. Well, she decided to call a Uber driver. There's video of her waiting outside and talking on the phone to the Uber. But it didn't turn out quite that way, people. Here's what happened. About 3:45 in the afternoon the next day, her body was found in a field. She was dead. But about 3 a.m., 12 hours earlier, a Columbia Police Department officer pulled over a car, and this was about 3 a.m. Well, at the traffic stop, the officer noted that there was blood on the inside of the car, which of course alarm bells went off, and he went to investigate further, and this Rowland took off. Well, after a short chase, they caught him and he was arrested. But once arrested, the officer saw more blood in the car. And subsequent testing of the blood in the car was Samantha's blood. Her cell phone was also in the car, so they were able to check out the cell phone. And her cell phone indicated that Samantha had indeed called for a Uber ride, but mistakenly took her killer for the Uber driver. You know, this is one of the nearly unsolvable murders that happen to young women all the time. Many missing women are never found and never heard from again. And if it is, it's years later. But this case was solved in one day. It was solved very quickly, thanks to good police work and to a very stupid murderer. You know, he was arrested only hours after he murdered Samantha. It's a crying shame. You know, a person can't call for a Uber ride without being abducted. And that's a sad case out of South Carolina. Well, I'm glad that he's been apprehended. But what a sad story for Samantha's mother and father and her family. One more little backup. I like to talk about the kids every chance I get. This channel is dedicated to our children. I do bring other stories, but I like to always try to touch on our children. And it's very seldom ever good news, people. It's never good news when it's about our poor kids. But get this. Wisport, Pennsylvania Police Chief Brent Getz, the 27-year-old, and Gregory Wagner, 28 years old, were arrested this week for allegedly having sex with a little girl from the age of 4 years old until she was 11. My goodness, people, a 4-year-old child. And it went on for 7 years. Well, finally, one day at school, she happened to talk to a school nurse, and she told the story at school, and the school nurse is what got these people arrested, people. That's what got these people arrested. That little girl finally opened her mouth. I imagine for those years she was under a lot of fear and intimidation from these two men. I don't really know how they had access to her. I tried to search that out, but I couldn't find how they had access. But needless to say, they did. The charges include child rape, aggravated indecent assault on a child, along with a laundry list of other heinous crimes. The girl is a minor, so her name is not being released, but police say the girl was assaulted hundreds of times by these two men over that 7-year period. I'll tell you, people, death is too good for these perverted animals who rape a little 4-year-old girl over and over again until she's 11 years old. Her life was damaged forever, if not destroyed. Just imagine, people, just imagine. Imagine if that was your child. My goodness. But you know, this is the kind of things I'd have to talk about all the time. Because pedophiles are everywhere. They're everywhere you look. And this time it was the chief of police. Can you imagine that, people? Okay, people, that's all for this one. I just wanted to bring you all a little video. Try to fill you in on some of the news of the day, and like that poor girl being killed in South Carolina. And even worse news coming out of Pennsylvania about that little 4-year-old girl being raped and over again for 7 years. People, it's a crying shame. We've got to get these people off the street. That's why I preach on every video. We got to get rid of these pedophiles, people, because they're everywhere. I promise you, they're everywhere. Well, people, the fact of the matter is, the truth lives here. And I'm going to bring you the truth, no matter how bad it might be. Believe me, at times, it's very depressing for me going through all these articles and reading this stuff, because out of every one I bring you, I probably read 10 or 20. So I can understand how you might not be comfortable with a lot of things that I say. But what I say is the truth, and it needs to be said. These children's voices need to be heard. So thank you for watching. This is Deplorable Bobby. I'll get back to you in a little while.